Hi everyone, so it's time for another monthly stats update. All the details for my system can be found in the description, so let's get on with it. So as always, this is the monthly report from the GivEnergy web portal for the month of April 2024, and you can see our generation is now up to 605 kilowatt hours for the month, and we're starting to get the occasional day where we just peak over 30 kilowatt hours, which is fantastic. Still getting a few which are down below 10. Couple there, but otherwise, yep, we're heading in the right direction, so that's good. You can see our total consumption was about 540 kilowatt hours, which means we're now more than meeting our actual energy needs, which is fantastic. You can see the battery usage just there, and if I scroll further down, the most important thing for this month is that we've now switched to Octopus Flux. I actually switched for the 1st of April, but it wasn't clear to me whether or not I was still on Go, because the tariff kept showing as Go in my Octopus app. So I contacted them and asked them what was going on, and they switched the tariff over on, I think it was the 8th of April, at which point I then started to charge and discharge the battery. So charging the battery overnight and then discharging it to the grid to make use of that really good export tariff from 4 until 7 p.m. in the evening. So actually the tariff did get backdated all the way to the 1st of April, so it just meant that for this first week I wasn't gaining the benefit of that high export rate, but that's fine, doesn't really matter. The rest of the month I was able to do that, which was all good and well. And if I scroll up to the top, then you can see that my energy flow diagram shows that exact thing, where I'm discharging some of the battery into the grid as well as the battery being used for the home. So yeah, all good and well. So how does that value of 605 kilowatt hours for April compare to what I would normally expect? Well, this is the chart showing the typical generation that I would expect from the PVGIS system, with the plus and minus 1 standard deviation lines there, and you can see actually we're more or less spot on, which is great. And this is the first year where we've got an overlap between this year and last year. So you can see last year we generated 587 kilowatt hours in April, so very similar, so that's good to see. As for our consumption, you can see that the heating has more or less disappeared completely, down now at only 58 kilowatt hours compared to the previous months, which was obviously deep into winter. We're coming out of that now, which is great to see. The hot water, we actually used a little bit more than last month, 155 kilowatt hours. I think that's because we were around a little bit longer. Last March, we were away for a few days, which meant we used less hot water. Our base load, sort of what I call remainder here, this is the sort of standard house base load, is pretty typical. We used the EV a little bit less, 77 kilowatt hours compared to last month. And we're now basically not really using the dehumidifiers at all, only 3.7 kilowatt hours. Towel rails, pretty standard. That's just the standard 1 hour roughly that we put our ensuite towel rail on each day. But that's I'm turning that down now because it's getting warmer, so we don't need that quite as much. So next month that should be a bit lower. But that will give us a grand total of 540 kilowatt hours for the month. So the heating was actually lower than we would normally expect for this time of year as well, in fact. This blue area is the modelling I did to show what we would expect with the plus and minus 1 standard deviations. And you can see our value of 58 kilowatt hours was a little bit lower than we would expect. It's still within the plus and minus 1 standard deviation range though, so not super unusual, but yeah, definitely a slightly milder month than we would normally expect. So that's why the heating was a bit lower. But the most exciting thing that happened this month, of course, is that we've got our first negative bill of the summer, minus £11.37, which is excellent. If we had been on gas and had to use that for our heating and our hot water, and had our petrol car instead of the EV and all that other stuff, and no solar or battery, then it would have cost us, my estimate anyway, is £142.69, which means that we made a total saving of £154 for this month, which is, you know, pretty good in comparison with the other months. It's quite typical. And this is actually the first year, again, where we have an overlap with last year. And you can see that last year we made savings of £133.58, and actually a very slightly positive bill of about £11, which means we've slightly upped our game this month. And I think that's because I'm being slightly more aggressive with the way I'm doing the force exporting for the flux tariff. I'm actually exporting for about 2 hours a day, whereas I think last year I was probably only doing an hour, maybe an hour and a half per day. So that's probably made a small difference, which is good. In May, I've actually switched to intelligent flux, so it'll be really interesting to see how that compares. From my sort of rule of thumb, back of the envelope type calculation, I estimate that for May, intelligent flux should give us a slightly better saving than regular flux. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, that's pretty encouraging. I'm expecting, obviously, a significantly more negative bill for May based on last year. Obviously, it changed quite dramatically. Although the generation in May last year was exceptionally high, so I doubt we'll probably hit quite that level of savings. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how May pans out. But that's all from me for this month. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.